do the start. Oh, we're doing it.
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Dear Heavenly Father, we just thank you for this day. We just thank you for all that you do for us. Just give us the wisdom and the courage to make the right decisions. We just ask you to watch over our city and be with our citizens. And we just thank you for all that you do for us. In Jesus' name, we pray. Amen.
I'd like to call this evening's meeting of the Jackson City Council to order. Before we have roll call, the chair would like to thank Councilman Peters for filling in for the chair for the January 8th meeting while I was on vacation. So thank you very much, much appreciated. Roll call, Ms. Kuhn?
Foster.
Here.
Elliott.
Here.
Colby.
Here.
Peters.
Here.
Newkirk.
Here.
Crabtree. Bach.
Here. The chair would entertain a motion to excuse Mr. Crabtree, who's out on vacation. Mr. Peters, is there a second? Mr. Elliott? All those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed, same sign. The motion is carried. Next on our agenda is recognitions. Mayor Evans?
Yes, I have one recognition tonight. Darren, if you'll come up to the microphone there. This is Darren Helmick, Council. He is our new IT tech. Darren he's a Jackson boy, graduated in 2013 from Jackson High School. He currently lives in the city. When he graduated, 10 years ago after he graduated, he went into the Navy and he's been there until recently. And he has a lot of good experience in information technology systems that he gained in the Navy, and we're very happy to have him on board here. Darren?
Thank you. I'd just like to thank the council for this opportunity, and I look forward to working for y'all.
Yeah.
Thank you, Darren.
Thank you.
Thank you, Darren. Appreciate your service.
Yeah, so hard.
Ask him to stay home.
Well, that's what we said.
Go ahead, get up.
They got on the TV.
Anytime we're not on working that
Yeah, I need your-
directly, here's who we're gonna call now.
Thank you.
Are we on tonight?
As far as I know.
Spell check, yeah, that's what I said.
I don't believe we had anyone who was signed up to speak this evening. So next on our agenda is the approval of the minutes. The minutes should be found in your packet. This was the July 8th council meeting. Is there any corrections or objections to the minutes as presented to council? Hearing none, the chair would entertain a motion to approve the minutes as presented. Ms. Colby, is there a second? Mr. Newkirk, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. The motion is carried. We'll move on into committee reports. Utility Committee, Mr. Newkirk.
No report.
Thank you, Mr. Newkirk. Budget and Finance, Ms. Colby.
No report.
Thank you, Ms. Colby. Police, Fire, and Traffic, Mr. Foster.
I have no report.
Thank you, Mr. Foster. Service, Mr. Peters.
No report.
Thank you, Mr. Peters. The Auditor's Report, Mr. Reed.
The only thing I have to mention is the city's audit should be finished up this week, and hopefully by next council, we'll have our review to bring to council.
Thank you, Mr. Reed. City Attorney, Mr. Kirby.
I have no report.
Thank you, Mr. Kirby. Chief Hinch.
Just briefly, on July 30th, in conjunction with the Civil Service Commission, we are conducting a sergeant's test. We have 5 eligible patrolman candidates to fill an opening that has been created there. We anticipate a second opening probably later in the year through a retirement. That's not finalized yet, but anyway, that test will be July 30th. Also, I was informed today by Mr. Swackhammer that they would be, maybe let him cover this, I think they're connecting the final part of that water line project that's been going down South Street into Main Street, and so there will be a significant detour Wednesday. We've got a detour route that I'll release to the media and to public service entities tomorrow, but we think we have that kind of planned. It's going to be an inconvenience, and I just want to thank really the public that for the most part, with all the construction and all the things going on, fixing 70 years worth of problems, they've been pretty good. Our traffic, I know it's frustrating, but the traffic has been pretty good with all those circumstances. So a reminder, just that Wednesday, they're going to be connecting. It may go into Thursday, so it may be a 2-day detour around where south of Main, you will not be able to get through that way. So.
Thank you, Chief Inch. Questions for Chief Inch? How about council? Mayor Evans?
Give you an update on some other projects. Actually, continuing on what Mr. Hinch, Chief Hinch was talking about. They also are scheduled to begin pavement repairs on South Street. Actually, I think they were planning on starting today, but sometime this week. I think the weather got them today. And I think maybe the detour may get them Wednesday. But they're hoping to get started on that, the repairs there to the South Street work. You might have noticed they're digging up some new holes on the same project where they're putting some valves in to tie into the side street lines. They will also be connecting those new valves to the new lines at some point, so on all the way through the project. So there'll still be more digging and more repairs to go, even once this tie-in is made Wednesday. Moving on to the main trunk sewer lining project. That's the other part of this big EDA project that we've talked about so much. Got the big federal grant for, where they are lining a sewer line from Harding Avenue. Actually, it begins on Veterans Drive by the Harding Avenue Park and goes all the way over to Chillicothe Pike. And part of that, they have to clean the sewer. So they put bypass lines in to pump the sewer around from one manhole to another manhole so they can bypass the sewer that runs through there while they're cleaning them and preparing them for the new lining, and also during that lining process. I know there's been some talk on social media and some rumors around that somebody was pumping sewers in the Salt Lick Creek over there. And I actually see how somebody could think that, because there's these big pumps coming out of this manhole and they go down and look like they go into the creek. But they actually go follow the creek so they can get under the bridges and go all the way over to Chillicothe Street there by Athens Street. I can promise you nobody's been dumping anything in the Salt Lick Creek. But we were accused of that. And that project will probably last for several more weeks. We had a little issue late this afternoon, actually, where they had, it's actually crossing the line where they're pumping it temporarily through is crossing Hunt Street now. And the thing they have laying across to actually pump through, it's not a big pipe, it's actually a flat steel pipe that you can drive over, but some of the cars living in there were too low to get over it, so they were the contractor was trying to help out with that. So people that live back there could get across the temporary sewer line. Down along 93, south of 32, that water line project, a lot of the pipe is already in, and they're boring. They've already bored under State Route 93 once there at the Jackson Heights. They plan to bore under McCarty Lane today, actually, and I think they delayed that till tomorrow because of the weather. There again, that project was a $1.6 million grant, all state of Ohio money. We've got no match in that even, to run a new water line from just north of 32 down to where you go into the Jackson Heights. A much needed replacement there. I mentioned before they're going to start paving the repairs on South Street. that was our highest priority when the contractor comes back to town, the paving contractor, McKee, comes back to town this week, so they'll be on that, and then they'll move on from there to the next set of streets on our summer paving project. And then the contractor is in town now and have started setting up and rigging to repaint the Apple Tower. So if you keep an eye on that, it won't be a long project, but in the next few weeks, you should see that, the repainting of the Apple Tower. Just a couple of events I want to make you aware of coming up. It's almost August already, and that first Saturday in August is always the Pig Iron Days, which is a big event in Manpower Park put on by the Firefighters Association. That was an event that it originally started out as a city-sponsored event, and then the fire department took it over at some point. Also, Wednesday evening, I heard the chief talk about upcoming civil service test. The Civil Service Commission has set up a meeting for Wednesday evening, 5:30, right here. It has been announced. The Civil Service, we've had a couple changes on the Civil Service Commission that is appointed, those spots are appointed by me, and the current members are Tanya Hatton, Tammy Jones, and Jeff Young. And finally, just ask council to consider the executive sessions that are on the agenda that I've asked for to discuss the things as written there on the agenda. That's all I have, Dan.
Thank you, Mayor. Any questions for the mayor? Thank you. Mr. Schwackhammer?
There's, as the mayor's mentioned, there's several items already in the works, and a couple more, and it's in tonight's legislation is the one we talked about on South Street, the sidewalks, and going into a contract with the engineering firm that has been involved with the South Street project. So I would appreciate council's support so we can move forward with those. It's our intentions to get those done yet this year, as we discussed, I believe it was 2 meetings ago. Other than that, there's just a lot of work going on, a lot of projects, and hopefully we'll be drawing near some end on some of these very soon. Remediation, we did finish up on Morton Street and Orange Street over the last couple of weeks, so that's good. Those have taken a little bit longer than expected, but they're coming to an end very quickly. And I just appreciate everybody's understanding as we continue to work on all these projects.
Thank you, Mr. Schwackhammer. Questions for the service director?
Quick question. Manpower, the walking path and stuff, and then the park getting used quite a bit. A couple people have said some things to me, and then I was actually down there this morning, but like early in the morning, people will take, I'm not anti-dog or anti-pet, but people are taking their pets down there, just letting them run free. And when you let your pet run free and they're all the way on the other side of the park and they decide to use the facilities, I noticed that it didn't get picked up. That's, for one, kind of disgusting if you take your kids down there to, run around, whatever they're doing. Is there any way we could get some signs or something to, even if we provided the bags for people to pick up for their dogs, I'm sure they're not super expensive. We changed trash bags down there. I saw a couple of your summer helpers down there cleaning out trash cans early this morning. There is a section there by the park where that garage is. I know we have a dog park at Harding Avenue, but it's mostly unusable for most of the year due to just the weather, flooding, things like that. Is there any way we could make some sort of something over there opposite where you planted the trees, where that garage is or something like that, to maybe like say, hey, if you bring your pets, you can let them run here, but don't let them run all through the park where kids are playing. Just a suggestion.
I would ask a question for Mr. Kirby. I'm surprised there's not a leash law. I think there has to be. I don't think we want to have animals running through there and knock people down or attack a child or, I think the animals have to be on a leash. I don't think it's not a running area for dogs. I mean, I have a dog, but I wouldn't take it down there and just let it.
I think at the time of the day, it was really early, it was around 7:15 this morning, so if there's no one around, I can see why they would think it's okay to do that, but the issue is
Right, I agree with that too, because we have the same.
Graffy's on the other side of the park, and you're on one side, and it's 200 yards away, you're not walking over there.
Well, if you walk down the sidewalk right out here in front of the church, as someone who mows for the church, you're going around Scrappy's business all over the place. And I'm afraid, sorry to say, but there are just people who don't pick it up.
Right.
They just let it go. Snooker.
Yeah. I've been down Mount Street a couple times with my grandchild. Last house on Mount Street, they opened their door and let this horse come running across to the fire. It's a Great Dane.
That puts them in a real
Child,
job.
they're gonna take over around. And you know what a dog's gonna do when they see a child running and screaming. So that seems to be an issue down there at that part on Mount Street.
I don't know what the rules are really, if there's no dogs allowed.
Being on the leash.
Huh?
Can't just turn loose, they gotta be on the leash.
Yeah, but are they even allowed in the parks? 'Cause
That's like the biggest question, like, what's our policy
Yeah,
for?
we'll look into that, and see.
Yes, in the
We can
park.
certainly put signs up, but if you want to change the laws, and we'll look and see what they are,
Yeah.
that'd be for council.
I
But
mean, I just think if we, encourage the cleanup, then maybe people actually will, like, oh, it's back there. Yeah, they're free, and I'm not paying, and here, I'll pick it up.
I actually had somebody ask me to put a baggy thing out there, like you seen, and I didn't know whether they were even allowed, so I didn't kind of respond to this person, because I didn't know I don't know what parks that don't allow animals, period. So we'll look into what our rules say, and we can get some signs made if we need to.
I mean, there are responsible pet owners out there that clean up after themselves, let's be real, but then sometimes you just have to remind people what the right thing to do is, so.
Mr. Elliott, do you have a comment on
A lot
this?
of parks have dispensers that have, doggy bags. So we might look into having several around town.
Absolutely.
You didn't see any doggy bags down there?
Oh, there's a big one, there's a big trash bag.
The other one, there it is.
There's a dog.
Yeah, but I don't, let's be real, is that,
Party.
I mean, that just thing's not even, it's so far down there, and when if the water comes up, it's disgusting.
So you're talking about
The original dog park.
I've actually talked to Greg Farr about moving it. So if you have another, because people won't go out there to use it, it's kind of like back there in the middle of nowhere.
Right.
But we haven't found an alternate location yet, but we just mentioned it briefly.
Patch of grass over there by
Huh?
there's a small patch of grass over there by your orchard, across the path.
Yeah, there is, kind of like, you mean, like across the creek,
Yeah,
between the creek and the cemetery, behind that garage building?
Yeah. I mean, it doesn't have to be massive, but a place like a dog go do his business
And run.
and run. Exactly.
Free. We'll look into it further.
Thank you, appreciate that.
Mr. Bob?
Mr. Schwackhammer, all the good things that are being done in the city, the streets and everything else, what is the timetable for these houses that have the yellow tags on, that they're unlivable in? And I'm sure you're gonna tell me it's tied up in the courts, but I just wonder, is there anything that can be done? Because I can name 2 houses right now on David Avenue that they've been 2 years now, and even if the people are required to clean them up, it isn't getting done. I mean, you see it and you've heard of it, and I just wonder what the timetable is.
Yeah, for the city to get involved, I mean, we've had to go in and board some up that were unsafe, which we've done. A lot of these taxes and everything's being paid on, there's not much beyond that. I know Mr. Kirby will be able to tell you that there's at least a half a dozen or so that is in front of in the court right now for consideration, that's tied up in probate or other things. It is very concerning. We would have addressed them a long time ago if we could, but other than keeping them mowed, keeping them safe, there isn't much beyond that as long as the, taxes are being paid that we can do it this time.
I just wondered, and
Joe, do you want to add anything to that?
If a building's unsafe, the city's allowed to remedy the problem. If it's weeds and things like that, you can take them down. If the house is unsafe to where it will fall down, the city can take it down. If boarding it up, if it's just empty and an eyesore and boarding it up is sufficient, that's the route we go. There's a number of them, about 5 or 6 of them that have delinquent taxes, and we've been working with the prosecutor's office. The main delay is the expense in the publication. It's a few $1,000s on each one, and these are homes that probably won't be sold for any amount of money that'll cover the taxes, so they do go kind of slow as the money's available from the county budget.
I just wondered, that I thought, that the red tape would hold it up. And
There shouldn't
holding the houses together.
So there shouldn't be any that are in danger of falling, they can't be taken down, but some of them certainly can be a eyesore.
It states unlivable, unsanitary, the whole 9 yards, but, I understand that the red tape that is involved in it is the problem, so. I was asked, so I thought I'd ask, so.
Thank you, Mr. Bob. Any other questions for the Service Director?
Just on the topic, and someone can have their property torn down by the land bank, and then do they put that as a lien on the property for them to pay? So I have a piece of property that's falling apart, and I say, well, I can't afford to tear it down, but I'd like to tear it down. Will the land bank go tear that down and then file a lien to that property owner has to pay that back? Is there a process to that? Because that's someone asked me this as well, so.
What the land bank has been involved in so far, because I'm on the board as the mayor, is using grant money. And all of the demos that we've done the last few years have been on the demolition grant from the Ohio Department of Development, and there's no cost to the homeowner. They have to sign up for it, and then it goes through a selection process and a bidding process, and the ones that have just, I don't even know if they're complete yet. There was 10 or 11 in the city of Jackson, 35 or so countywide. It was all grant money. And there was, if you signed up for it, and Ray, us and Ray had pressured several of them into signing up for it. That's why they could get it free. Like, it was like, well, if you don't do it now, you're going to eventually do it, and now you can get it done free. I think there's going to be another round of grant money. If there is, we'll be, I know we've got a list of 8 or 10 already that we think would volunteer for it and like to get in it. If you have one or know of one, let Ray know about it, or let us know about it.
Yeah, I just had someone ask, I guess, like what the process would be for someone who necessarily couldn't afford to have the property torn down on their own. They don't want it, but they can't afford the cost that would be involved.
If it's in the city, let us know, and we'll get it on that list, on Ray's list.
I'll let them know.
And see, right now, we're just finishing up a round of that financing, and then we're hoping there's another round.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you. Anything else from the mayor? Hearing none, we'll move into our ordinance and resolutions portion on the agenda. We will begin with ordinance 4324, first reading. Ms. Coon?
Ordinance approving additional appropriations in the city income tax fund for curbs, sidewalks, and remediation, and declaring an emergency.
Could I get a motion to adopt ordinance 4324 as presented to council? Ms. Colby, is there a second? Newkirk? All those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed, same sign. The motion is carried. Discussion. Mr. Swackhammer.
Yes, as I mentioned earlier, the 43 and resolution in 32 are associated with each other. This is the funding associated with the remediation and the replacement of the sidewalks down both sides of South Street where there currently are sidewalks. And then 32 is the continuation with the engineer that's been involved with the South Street project so far to allow that to expand to the sidewalk project.
Thank you, Mr. Schweikhammer. Other discussion?
What's the timeline?
They're working on the specs right now for us to review. So then it'll go through a bid process.
I mean, there's a chance that if we could pass this like today, like we could see stuff happening pretty quickly there.
Well, the resolution for sure, I need it in order to continue to work with the engineering firm to complete the design to go to bid. And then for the funding is what 43 is for.
I'll move to suspend the rules to get the project started.
Motion by Mr. Peters, is there a second?
Second.
Second by Ms. Colby, discussion? Ms. Coon?
Foster.
Yes.
Elliott.
Yes.
Colby.
Yes.
Peters.
Yes.
Newkirk.
Yes.
Bob.
Yes.
Further discussion? Ms. Coon?
Foster.
Yes.
Elliott.
Yes.
Colby.
Yes.
Peters.
Yes.
Newkirk.
Yes.
Bob.
Ordinance 4324 is duly adopted. Next, for council consideration, Resolution 3224, first reading. Ms. Coon?
A resolution authorizing an agreement with DLZ Ohio Incorporated to provide engineering and planning services for the city sidewalk replacement project and declaring an emergency.
Could I get a motion to adopt ordinance 3224 as presented to council? Mr. Elliott, is there a second? Mr. Newkirk, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carried. Discussion. Mr. Schweikhammer, do you have anything to add to this?
Nothing additional.
Okay.
Mr. President, I'll move to suspend the rules so engineering can be done for the project.
Is there a second? Ms. Colby, second? Discussion? Ms. Coon?
Foster.
Yes.
Elliott.
Yes.
Colby. Peters.
Yes.
Newkirk.
Yes.
Bob.
Yes.
Further discussion? Ms. Coon?
Foster.
Yes.
Elliott.
Yes.
Colby.
Yes.
Peters.
Yes.
Newkirk.
Yes.
Bob.
Resolution 3224 is duly adopted. Next, council consideration, first reading, Resolution 3324. Ms. Coon?
A resolution authorizing expenditure of funds for payment to the Jackson County Treasurer pursuant to a then and now certificate in the amount of $3,513.91 and declaring an emergency.
Could I get a motion to adopt Resolution 3324 as presented to council? Mr. Elliott, is there a second? Mr. Bob? All those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed, same sign. Motion carried. Discussion, Mr. Reed.
Okay, this is the property that was given to the city over where Jeff's Bake Shop was over along Salt Creek. When it was given to us, this is the first year we had taxes on it. And the first year, part of the taxes was sent to, I guess, the previous owner. And then we got a tax bill, or actually, they got it again.
Yeah.
And they sent it back to the city and said, hey, aren't these the city's? And yeah, it's in the city's name. Joe had recorded it and everything, but they were sending the bill not to us.
These were actually the taxes for the year before,
Yeah, you're always a year behind.
and they paid the first half rather than prorated, and the second half, because it was a gift, they didn't want to pay the second half. So it wasn't for the time that we owned it, but it is part of the property that we have to pay it.
Mr. Kirby?
Good question. Is it exempt going forward? Or
It
can
has to be applied. Once taxes are paid in full, then you can apply for exemption, but you have to have taxes paid to zero before you can apply for exemption.
Fair enough. We owe the county money, so I move to suspend the rules. I don't want to be delinquent.
Motion by Mr. Peters, is there a second?
Okay.
Ms. Colby, second. Discussion. Ms. Coon?
Foster.
Yes.
Elliott.
Yes.
Colby.
Yes.
Peters.
Yes.
Newkirk.
Yes.
Bob.
Yes.
Further discussion. Ms. Coon?
Foster.
Yes.
Elliott.
Yes.
Colby.
Yes.
Peters.
Yes.
Newkirk.
Yes.
Bob.
Yes.
Resolution 3324 is duly adopted. This concludes our ordinance and resolution portion. I thank council for their work. Looking at the agenda, we haven't received any correspondence since the meeting on the 8th. Under old business, I will remind council that next Monday, we will have a zoning update by Crossroads at 6:15 here in council chambers. So I hope you can plan to attend that. Any other new business, or old business, I'm sorry, to be brought before council? Hearing none, we'll look at new business. I will make the announcement that the Tourism Board will meet on this coming Friday, the 26th, at 9:30 here in council chambers to complete our meeting cycle for 2024.
Just to make sure that that gets announced somehow.
I texted Ms. Crabtree with that to make sure that that gets out.
It meets 24 hours.
Any other new business to be brought before council? Hearing none, I believe you make that motion.
I'll move to go into executive session to prepare, conduct, or review negotiations or bargaining sessions with public employees concerning their compensation or other terms and conditions of their employment, and also separately to consider the purchase of property for public purposes. I'll ask that everyone seated at the table stay and that the gallery be excused.
Mr. Shope, I don't perceive that there'll be any business conducted afterwards. Ms. Kim? Oh, second to the motion, I'm sorry. Is there a second to Mr. Elliott?
Foster.
Yes.
Elliott.
Yes.
Colby.
Yes.
Peters.
Yes.
Newkirk.
Yes.
Bach.
We will go into executive session at 7:31. We've returned to regular session. Executive session ended at 7:45. The chair would entertain a motion to adjourn. Mr. Elliott?
Can I pause real quick, just for one thing we didn't talk about, is that some of the federal money that we'd asked for from Senator Brown's office, that made it through it's in the package, it'll get voted on, and that's my understanding. So there's some extra money. Hopefully, if this stuff's all going to pass before the elections, we might get some extra cash for the memorial building, hopefully.
Yes, we had applied to Senator Brown, right?
Yeah, sure, Senator Brown.
For additional money for the memorial building, and in addition to the other 2 places we applied. And according to the information Ryan sent me there late last week, we knew we had got through the first round of consideration and moved ahead, but it looks like it's actually part of the bill that's being put together now.
Absolutely, it is part of the bill, and it has to be voted on, so unless as it's going through the process to be allocated, someone would have to take a red pen and mark it off.
Right.
It looks pretty promising that we're gonna get some extra cash there too.
We might actually get some Democrat money in here,
Hey.
which would be awesome.
Yeah, absolutely. Just wanted to shout out, because...
I forgot that, thank you.
I did too.
Other comments? Hearing none, then Mr. Elliott, motion to adjourn, second. Mr. Newkirk, all those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed, same sign. Motion carried. Stand adjourned.